Hey everyone, Draco Prime 220 here, and today is going to be episode 5 of Character Critique. Now, 1993. Good year. One of the, most biggest movies that's still famous to this day introduced one of Disney's most intelligent and terrifying villains, where it wasn't brawn, it was brain that was more dangerous. And of course, who am I talking about? Scar. Scar, to me, is one of my most favorite villains. And I don't count that live-action crap or that prequel sequel to the live-action one that I heard about. I'm talking about both The Lion King and The Lion Guard, and to a degree, Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Because, in a way, Lion King 2 really has Scar, he haunts, he's not there. I'll get to that in a sec, but, he's kind of like the presence of what he did is very crucial to the second film. And I still say that Lion King 2, Simba's Pride is one of the better Disney direct-to-DVD sequels. Now, Scar. What do we know about him? Of course, there was, how did he get the scar? First off, I'll talk about the book where he tried to get his brother taken out by an angry buffalo, water buffalo, and in the process got the scar and said, "That's who I am," to remind me of how I failed. And Taka, his name in Swahili means trash, dirt, pretty much. Not a very nice name. Not a nice name. What do we know about Scar that we already know about? I'm going to say this. The reason why I have Scar on such high praise as a villain is because he actually won. He actually took out one of the main protagonists. Once again, R.I.P. James Earl Jones. Man, it's not going to be the same. On a really quick side note, if Star Wars is in Kingdom Hearts 4, and if Darth Vader shows up and is a boss fight, how's that gonna work? I'm really hoping not AI. I do know in the one Star Wars game, Outlaws, the voice actor who played Darth Vader was pretty good, so bring him aboard. But if I had to guess, if they want to make it like it sounds like James Earl Jones, they're probably going to use AI, which is unfortunate. But I don't know. I could be wrong, hopefully. But, Scar won. Every other villain has gotten so close, but they have not gotten as close or have succeeded like Scar did. Can Ursula say she won? Can Jafar? Can Maleficent? Can the Horned King? Can any of these Disney villains say they completely won and had a time of they could bask in their victory? And I don't count Hades because it was short-lived for 5 seconds, nearly 10 seconds. And not even, I don't believe. But, can Frollo, one of the most evil and darkest of Disney villains, say he won? No. And can any of these villains say, well, except for the one exception, Jafar, can they say that any of these other villains besides Jafar came back to get a second chance at beating? Nope. And yes, Jafar did come back. It was shortly after, I'm guessing, Return of Jafar, where it was in the one episode of Hercules where actually Aladdin and Hercules meet each other, which is, I really think is cool, and I wish they did more of those kind of crossovers. That was pretty cool. I can't remember the episode, but I remember where Jafar is the newest arrival to the underworld, and he is brought back because they both have a disdain for heroes that humiliated and defeated them, and Hades using his power, as long as Jafar has a snake staff, he could be among the living. But I won't spoil the rest because I want, if anyone's curious, try finding it somewhere and watch it. It's a good episode. And of course, they bring James Woods back as Hades and the original voice actor for Jafar. So that's pretty cool. But besides Jafar, Scar got a second chance to wreak his revenge. But this is where the brain, this is why I'm saying this is where the brain was more dangerous than brawn. And even it's kind of alluded to when Scar says, you know, as far as brains go, I got the lion's share, but when it comes to brutal strength, I'm afraid I'm the shell end of the gene pool. Realizing that he relies more on his wits than his strength. And the fact of how cruel and malicious Scar is, he tried getting Simba and Nala killed by the hyenas, Banzai, Shenzi, and Ed, and failed. Then, what was the most cruelest thing that he did to, like, in my opinion, besides killing Simba's father, Mufasa, was the fact that the first thing he does is that after Simba is mourning the loss of his father, Scar comes up and says, Simba, what have you done? And that is just so cold, cruel, and calculated, but it's genius on a villainous level, because he knows it's perfect. Simba tries to practice his roar. He thinks a stampede suddenly comes as he does a big enough roar, and it's going to put into his... And he's young, you know, he's young. He's going to think, I did this. And probably it wasn't only fear that he felt when he saw the stampede coming. It was like, I screwed up. And Scar took full advantage of that. And it wasn't enough just to say, run away and never return. He was like, kill him. When he just wanted him dead. It wasn't enough just to twist the knife or twist the claw and say, it's your fault, leave and don't come back. That wasn't satisfying enough. He wanted to ensure that Simba never found a way to come back. So he's like, kill him. And it gets worse. Much worse. Scar comes back acting all like, my brother, Simba, they're gone. But then he quickly reveals his true colors and what his plan is. He brings all the hyenas in a glorious future, and what does this glorious future involve? Basically, the complete and total desertion of herds and the complete total abuse of the Pride Lands to where it becomes nothing but a barren wasteland. And Scar can give two craps about it. He's just sitting back chewing on a bone and has poor Zazu caged up. And even the hyenas are like, Scar, there's no food, no water. Excuse me. And he's like, oh, eat Zazu. And it's like, and you never say Mufasa, the name Mufasa in front of Scar, because Scar will literally freak out on you. But it gets worse. Very worse. When Simba does come back, Simba witnesses his mother taking a stand, and I have to say, Sarabi is a boss mom. And you know, because usually you'd flinch when you hear him scream, Sarabi! Nope, she's like this, head up, kind of gives that look like, yeah, try me, hyena. And those hyenas are like gnawing at her, and she's not even flinching. She is still keeping her head high, not flinching out of fear. And she's trying to make a point that there's no more food. The herds have moved on. And they gotta leave if they are to survive. And the thing is, Scar doesn't care. He's like, then you have sentenced us to death. And Scar's like, so be it. And then this is where he kind of acts more like a self-entitled brat who doesn't give a darn. He's like, I am the king, I'll do whatever I want. And then he just says, and then Sarabi says, if you were half the King Mufasa, and then she gets backhanded. And says, then he says, I am 10 times the King Mufasa was. Yeah. And it goes to show how much of a coward he is, because when he sees who he doesn't realize is Simba, he thinks it's Mufasa. He's like, no, you're dead. He was instantly backing up in a corner, lost his courage, lost his guts, but then when he figures out it's Simba, he's like, he kind of goes, Simba. I'm surprised to see you alive. Like, yeah. And he acts all cowardly, but he's using because he knows he has a trump card, Simba's guilt. But the one thing where Scar fumbled is when he had Simba in the same predicament he had Mufasa in. But I don't know what's worse, getting crushed by a stampede of wildebeest, or, you know, a bunch of, basically a pit of fire. I don't know what's worse. I think both are bad. I just think, you know, I have to say the fall is worse, because probably if you fall in the fire, you'll be burning to death, and you'll at least have a few more seconds to go feeling everything. So I'd say if I had a choice between falling into a stampeding herd of wildebeest or a fire, wildebeest, because probably if the fall probably would kill me, you know. But and Scar makes a mistake here. He's like, here's my little secret. I killed Mufasa. And that was kind of where Scar fumbled, because he was so sure his victory was assured. No more heirs to the throne. It's all his now. And if that means he sentences the whole Pride Rock to death, so be it. But he did not expect Simba to get the momentum and pin him down. And even Simba was like, tell them the truth. And Scar was like, truth is like, you know, it was like, all right, I did it. And out of defiance, because if you look at Scar, he gets right in Simba's face and says, I killed Mufasa. And this leads to an all-out battle. Now, at this point, Scar is running, and Scar is cornered. And Simba, I have to say, does a badass thing where he basically throws the same line at him, saying, run away, Scar, and never return. But Scar's not going to give this up. He knows now that all his little tricks hit the cat, literally, no pun intended, the cat's out of the bag. The secret is out. He's screwed. And then he goes, yes, as you wish, your majesty. Yes! And he fights dirty, because he knows he's not the most physically strong, and the little bitch that he is, he actually takes, like, some burning embers and gets him to Simba's eye and tries to attack him. And it does lead to one of the most badass fights in Disney history, in my opinion. Because every whack with the paw, you can feel it. It's like being hit with an anvil for hands. I'm serious. When I was young, I felt the power. I felt the punch. Sorry if I'm looking that way. My cat's on the bed. And I still feel it to this day. And the scene where Scar comes lunging through the flames, like, That's a scene that actually scared me when I was little. Because when I was little, yeah, I was a dumb little kid, you know. When I look back, when he did that, I'm like, I pulled my head back because I didn't know if it was coming at me. And I'd have to say, Scar has one of the most grisliest deaths ever known. But the thing is, you don't really see it. But from the shadows, you can unfortunately use your imagination to know what happens. Scar, of course, acts like, oh, my friends. And then, you know, they're like, friends? I thought we were the enemy. That's what I heard, Ed. You know, and then all these hyenas surround him. He's trying to talk his way out of it, but pretty much he's screwed. And the camera pans up, and you see the silhouette of him being mauled. And you think that was it for him? No. On top, now, I think this is the worst death anyone could get. One, you're getting mauled and devoured alive by hyenas. But on top of that, you're getting burnt to a crisp. And, you know, everyone thinks with Scar gone, everything's going to be okay. Well, his actions had massive repercussions in the sequel. Scar was gone, but he had loyalists. In a way, almost cult-like, which is disturbing. Where Zira, who had a cub named Kovu, who was made heir if Scar died. So basically, Scar was like, if I fail, I need a plan B. And that was Kovu. And the one very scary scene, very nerve-wracking scene, I should say, when I was little, I was scared of this scene. where Simba reluctantly allows Kovu to stay, even though, because he saved Kiara, even though it's all set up. But as we know from the movie, I'm not going to get really into details, Kiara and Kovu fall in love. It's basically a Disney version of Romeo and Juliet, but with a more better, happier ending. But that's not the scene I'm talking about. Scar had influence all over in The Lion King 2. The dream sequence that Simba has where he's trying to rescue his father, trying to reach for him, it also shows his fears and shows how much Scar has traumatized Simba, even at this age. It goes to show that he's not physically scarred Simba, but mentally and emotionally. How Scar's really messed him up deep down. And the fact that you see Scar laughing in a court, and oh, by the way, Jim Cummings is actually doing the maniacal laugh for Scar in the dream. And you hear him go, "Trust me." And he looks more creepy. I know it's a dream because it's more exaggerated because he's like a little bit more darker. His eyes are more lit up, like to give it more like a demonic, otherworldly presence, nightmarish. But yeah, that scene really got me freaked out when I was younger. But Jim Cummings, who does the laugh, he is awesome when he does his evil villain, like whether it's Pete or another character. He's good. One side thing I have to say, when you can be a character that can sound sweet, sincere, or cute, or heartfelt, and then turn around and play something that can actually give you nightmares and scare the crap out of you, that's talent. But Scar wasn't really gone for long. Well, this is where we get to the Lion Guard. Scar comes back. And the thing is, we learn more about the spiritual lore of the Lion King franchise, where, the good lions are in the sky, the bad ones are in fire. And with the Cobra Yushari teaming up with Janja, the hyena, and his clan to basically weaponize Kion's Roar of the Elders to bring him back, at first you think it didn't really work, but it did. And what does Scar do? He's literally a spirit now, and what does he do? He plans, the first thing he plans is the assassination attempt of Simba. Scar is basically a spirit right now. Anywhere there is fire, he could show up. He can't be physically hurt. And he doesn't want to rule the Pride Lands, because throughout his songs, he shows he's going to incinerate everything. All his followers, everyone. It's going to become a land of fire. That will be his kingdom. Vengeance is what drives him now. He's lost his life. He's lost the kingdom that he felt he deserved. Now he's just going to take everything. And I have to say, I was so... At first, I'll say, when I saw the little teaser for Scar coming back in The Lion Guard, The Rise of Scar, I'm like... Because on the Lion Guard YouTube channel, which is down now, it's over... they had the teasers of upcoming episodes. Then you hear this eerie music pop up, and it says, The Rise of Scar, and my jaw dropped. I'm like, how is he coming back? Didn't he die? I was blown away, but I was excited and curious to see what was going to happen. How was this going to work? And throughout the second and third season, Scar is just... He's heading everywhere. He's made an army with jackals, hyenas, crocodiles, vultures. He's not holding back this time. I'm not saying he was holding back when he was alive, but you could tell he was a little bit more reserved until he was put into a corner. Scar is officially defeated, but not through violence, but through the Roar of the Elders, the Lions of the Past, and in a way, forgiveness. But Scar's still is not done. Even though his spirit has been sealed away forever and vanquished, Yushari scars Kion. And Scar pretty much haunts Kion to the point of him seeing his reflection of him in water, showing how much mental trauma, how much Scar can really mess you up as a villain. He doesn't have to break you physically. He'll break you emotionally, but mostly mentally. Your mind is his prey. If he sees that you're weak-minded or if there are any tiny vulnerabilities, he'll prey upon that. And that's why I say Scar is one of the best villains. He came back, besides Jafar. Not Cruella, sorry. She's still around, in the sequel. I mean villains that bit the dust, died. Besides Jafar, none of them got a second chance. And I can't fortunately consider The Return of Maleficent canon because it was never made into a movie. So I don't count that either. It was a book. But yeah, Scar is one of my most favorite villains in Disney history. Back when Disney had guts, wasn't afraid to give us a villain, wasn't afraid to get a little dark, push boundaries. Now these days they're just playing it too safe. And I have heard that Moana remake is not doing the greatest. But unfortunately, we did have a little hint that we're going to be getting a Tangled remake, and the first photo has been revealed. So yeah, it's a bit not surprising because Moana's not even a decade old, and it's getting has a live action remake that's not doing good, but still we're getting a live action Tangled. And now I've heard from my friend on X that they're making a live action movie about Princess Tiana. It's not a remake of Princess and the Frog. It's a complete just separate story. You couldn't do this in 2D animation? Really? Disney, you're falling from graces. The only thing I personally think that's saving you, Disney, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Alien, and possibly even Predator. Because I'm sorry to say, if you didn't have Marvel or Alien or Predator or other franchises, your company would be going under big time. But, yeah. Tell me who your favorite villain is in the comments section below, Disney related. And I hope you enjoyed this video of character critique. And y'all stay safe. You have a good day. And until next time, I am Draco Prime 220 signing off. See you, everyone.